Welcome to the Bear Facts on Guns, where host Derek Baer and his guests are locked and loaded to educate, inspire, and yes, answer your questions about firearms. Today, I think we all need to adjust our sights. Ready, aim, Derek.
Whoa. Good stop. Good job.
I did it right once. It's good.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate it. 2 and 6 Next, obviously my favorite place to stay tuned live in all the time.
No better place to be every other Thursday night.
True story. Ask questions, tune in, always obviously hitting all these gun facts and gun news and all that stuff that happens.
Good
there.
issues.
You know, and positive stuff as well.
Yeah.
So, personal news. I got two things to share with everyone out there in the world. Number one, I bought a new concealed carry. So super excited about that. Can't complain.
Did you retire the old one?
I have it right now. I'm going to sell it. And the funny thing is, I bought a Smith & Wesson 9mm Shield Plus. So I bought the exact same gun, just holds more rounds. So it holds 13 rounds versus the 8 that is on there.
Okay.
Now, huge shout out to Smith & Wesson, because every holster I have for my first Smith & Wesson fits the same for the new one. It's incredible. So the engineers at Smith & Wesson designed a better way for the handle to work, to be able to fit the magazine in there, and you could fit 13 rounds in it versus the 8 that was in there before.
Sure.
And one of my favorite things about it is it didn't change how I carry at all. So like there's some serious ingenuity that went into that thing to make sure that it was like done the right way. And I don't have to spend a whole bunch of money buying new holsters and going through everything again. The new grip on it is almost sticky, which is very strange to me.
Yeah.
So, and when I first did it and I first tried it, and I literally picked it off the showroom and I said, my hand stuck to it. And I was like, okay. So after our wonderful training session with Tom and going through holster training, draw classes and stuff like that, I was able to realize really quickly that, wow, like you think about different things as you learn how to use your shield more than you do with, daily day.
Yeah.
The nice thing is that when you pull it, it's already stuck in your hand. So it doesn't move or slide around in your hand at all, which is really cool as well.
So engineered for safety.
It does. It's just because it's safety. It puts it in the right position.
Yeah.
It locks it in. So you're not doing anything like that, which was a really nice thing to see as well. Plus, you're not making me spend more money on, Smith & Wesson can make more money selling more, holsters. Oh, yep. You got to buy a little different holster.
Yeah. So kind of like the cellular industry, right?
I was going to say Apple. Yes.
You need a new plug now.
Yeah.
For that.
And oh my gosh. Yeah, Apple, can you please switch to USB-C? Just gonna throw that out there. I'm so sick of carrying two chargers with me. Apple's iPads used USB-Cs. Apple phones used Lightning cables, and I am sick of carrying two cables. Can I just carry one cable for the whole world? We're ready for it.
We're ready.
Other news, my wife's family is in town from Greece.
That's awesome.
So they traveled all over, first time coming to America. And her aunt's here, and her cousin is here, and her cousin's husband is here. So we spent 2 days with them, and took them out to dinner, showed them some sights and scenes. And then last night we took them down to the planetarium to show them the real skyline that has the most beautiful views in possible Chicago.
Sure.
And it was funny. So, the first day it was kind of just, they don't speak a lot of English, right? And they did a great job speaking English too. Obviously my wife's Greek, so she speaks fluent Greek, so she's able to translate and do everything else. But I was my hidden intention, right? So obviously with our show here, I want to know what their feelings are on firearms in another country, straight from the source, and a family member that hopefully won't, look at me and go, look at this American who's a bigger gentleman that just runs around shooting guns all day long. Right. So
John Wayne.
I waited till the second time we hung out to kind of bring up the more in-depth conversation. So all done on purpose. Sorry, Kiki. And her name's my Kiki's cousin name is Kiki, and it had the same last name before I married her. So really funny story. When I first, Kiki didn't have Facebook originally, she does now, and Kiki's cousin was on there, and I was like, you don't have a Facebook? Like, this was like a long time ago, like 3 years dating. She's like, no, I don't have Facebook. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like searching her name, and
Liar.
I was like, well, the crazy thing is they look similar. So I was like, dude, you have Facebook right now. She's like, that's my cousin. I was like, yeah, right. Okay. Way to keep a hidden one on there.
Yeah.
So it was not her. It was really her cousin. So got in a conversation and asked about guns. So she said that her family is not against them. Her aunt was more on the cautious side of things. She said, I don't know why you need a gun when you have like there's family and kids around.
Mhm.
And then that kind of brought up like, well, if it's properly stored and and she's like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. But they don't, none of them have ever shot a firearm in their lives.
Sure.
At all.
Right.
So Greece is, and they are on a small island. And the first thing I can think of right away is I'm like, man, if you take over this island, what are you going to do?
Right.
You don't even know how to operate any firearm, let alone anything like that. And obviously Ukraine is dealing with
Are
that
they outlawed there?
No,
Like Gary out in Singapore is. If you have a gun, you
I
are
don't
in
know
prison.
that the laws are that strict as it is Singapore. I believe it is a felony. In Greece, and this is a long time ago, but Kiki's dad, it's required to join the military.
Yes.
And I think it's still there. I'm not 100% sure. It might have been more relaxed nowadays. So Greece, if you're listening, sorry, I don't know your guys' laws. Beautiful country, by the way.
Gorgeous.
You use firearms during the military training, but you don't use them outside of that. You're not allowed to have them. I think you're allowed to have rifles, but no handguns. Yeah. So for hunting and stuff like that. So on there as well.
And of course, Gold Shield jumping in, doing a little bit of supporting the show too. www.goldshieldtoday.com.
Appreciate it. Heating, cooling, electric, and plumbing. Yes. New addition to the family. Shout out to Mike Gracey, obviously, and my co-hosts Keith and Mike, who both work for Gold Shield Services in our plumbing division, and Mike owns that sucker, so it's great. Mike's doing a great job. Cool. Keith's doing a great job. Vasilius is doing a great job. Love the guys. I want to talk about sights, and I'm not talking about sights with
iron sights.
Yeah. I'm not talking about scope sights. I'm not talking about sights. I want to talk about the sights of what the media does when it comes to distortion of the adjustment of your views that is viewed by the public. A little out of focus. Just gonna throw a little out of focus. I'm doing good today. Yeah, you liked it. I know.
And of course, not the great sights that you took your family on. Seeing the sights.
Oh, good play on words. Good job. We're on fire tonight. No, hey Kiki, what's up? I was just talking about the cousin, the family, and stuff earlier today. So Alec Baldwin, I'm gonna jump right into him.
Going right back,
dude.
Still there.
I'm gonna rip him apart.
Sure.
Honestly, it is disgusting what this guy is doing and how everything is being handled. And I had a conversation at work today about it too, because it was just one of those things that was like, it's irking me. So there's two things that has kind of come to light, and one of them being really, I think, crappy for the family of that got this judge to dismiss this case. But the defamation case against Alec Baldwin and his family for the Marine killed in Afghanistan is dismissed by a judge. So misinformation of. Long story short, I'm not going to read the whole article or go through the whole series of it, but long story short, Alec confronted and said that this Marine that had now since passed in Afghanistan was at the January 6th riots in the Capitol, and it was really more of a right-winged slander towards them because they're right-wing, pretty hardcore right-wing people, and Alex is very left. For those of you do not know that, he's a super left side of liberal person, and they basically had a court case on this, and the court dismissed it. I don't know why it was dismissed. It's pretty tightly sealed actually on here as well, but they basically said that they didn't have enough evidence to convict him of the defamation of character on there as well. When you slander our military, in any way, shape, or form, again, don't do it. Those guys protect our freedom. Those guys go on the line. You have no idea what people have to deal with to get through a day after dealing with some stress that they have, and what they do to give us the freedom that we have on there as well.
And what they deal with when they get home.
Yeah, the post traumatic. Yeah, it's horrible.
Forget it.
It's hard on families.
Yep.
It's not just, hey, I'm in the military, I'm going to go do this for myself. You have a whole family that's not there, that can't protect you. You are the protection, but you're protecting them, and you're protecting the family in an indirect way, but you're protecting a whole country on the same front as it as well. And there's a lot of stuff that goes down with that kind of worlds, going to another country that's at war, that's poverty and famished and desperate and irrational and doesn't understand our culture. We don't understand their culture.
Right.
We think, certain ways, they think certain ways. At the end of the day, lives are lost, families are broken, and it's irreparable. And that's the freedom that we have every day in this country. And our Constitution is protected by those people, men and women that, serve our forces. So I can't currently and past. I mean, we wouldn't be who we are today. We wouldn't have the freedoms and liberties that we have today, but yet we just keep removing those freedoms and liberties as if they're nothing. The word that has been said so much is just accountability. It's being talked about a lot. Accountability with our current administration, accountability with past administration. And I'm not talking about just the one previous to the current, but I'm talking about previous administrations from there as well. Our current administration right now is trying to abolish guns in our country.
Yeah.
They're literally trying to take guns away. And to just give you a little bit of reference to it, in 2021, last year, we had a record number of sales of firearms. In the amount of 23 million firearms were sold. 65% of those were new gun owners.
Wow, that's a big percent.
That's a lot of new guns out there. So the people that are listening in and tuning in, if you've purchased a new firearm and you're new in owning a firearm, the biggest thing I can ever advocate all the time, go get training.
Yep.
You can't just own a firearm and know what you're doing. It's not possible. You have to learn the ins and outs, the backs and forths, the good, the bad, and the ugly of how that thing can kill people. Whether it's intentional or not is your decision, not the gun's decision.
The other interesting thing is learning what your mind does with that firearm.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because when you took me to the range, I was twisting and expecting something. Yep. So my mind was trying to simulate what I've seen on TV.
Yes.
Right. Yep. And so that training that you're talking about also helps you understand, that's weird that I'm doing that. Why would I do that?
Yep.
Yeah.
When Kiki will come on the show, she'll talk about her, because she's actually, I think she's coming on next episode.
Hey.
She said, so we're going to get a female's end of a new shooter that has to deal with me. sorry world. And then Magda's a perfect example, because Magda was with us, Art was with us, Eric was with us, and me. And when we did this holster training class, I kept watching all these weird motions for, and I work with these people every day. So like, I know them pretty well. And, at the same time, it was like you holster and it's like, I'm bringing it up and then I'm bringing it back down. And then you correct them and they're like, I don't know why I keep doing that. Like, I don't do that at the range. Like when I go and just shoot, because you're stationary, you put a magazine in and you set up and you go to town. And I'm just like, I don't know, but it looks really funny. I don't have an answer for why you're doing it. You can ask the expert Tom, because Tom knows exactly what you're doing or why you're doing it, and it adjusts and kind of changes who you are. But exactly what you just said is right. You start learning different critique things. The biggest part is there's going to be jams, there's going to be misfires, there's going to be broken stuff that happens over time. And if you don't know how to disassemble your firearm, you don't know how to clean it, you don't know how to care for it, it's just like everything else in your home. I mean, especially with heating and cooling and electric, even, plumbing, there's maintenance that needs to be done on this stuff every day, or else things break. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't want something that shoots a bullet out at a couple thousand feet per second that can kill somebody potentially, that's not perfectly functional. It's just like riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Motorcycle's got to be tip-top condition. There's only 2 wheels on the ground and there's no cage around you. You blow a tire out because you didn't look at your tire before you went riding, you're going down.
Good luck. Now, you got a nice little bike too, huh?
I just bought a new bike. Yeah, I did. It was I've had a cruiser for a while.
Right.
And it's funny because the bike that I just bought, literally the same year, make, model, and color that I just got rid of 2 years ago. And with the conversation my wife posted on Facebook, because it was funny. I just told her, I was like, I miss my Z. Like I miss my Z1000. I miss the speed. I miss the style of it, comfort. I know the bike in and out. And she's like, I was like, you know what? I found one. And she's like, why don't you go look for one? I was like, well, so I spent like 2 days and I of course found one, because it's, when there's a will, there's a way. And there was a big will right there. And it was in Wisconsin. We took a great trip to Wisconsin and rode it all the way home. And I can't wait to get on it this summer. It's going to be so, sit in my office right now, actually. I don't have the inspectors come in. So we are not in Algonquin.
Yeah.
So, but that's good as well. So I'm really happy about it. Can't beat it. Cruise is great. Everything's awesome. And I can't wait to start riding.
All right. But, so our good friend Alec is out there chirping.
So we have 2 things with Alec, right? So his defamation character is basically gone. And then what most recently happened here is he is still not taking responsibility for what he did. And it's getting worse to the point that he actually made a public statement that he was exonerated from the charges that could potentially happen. So basically, he signed off as that he's safe. So then the sheriff came on, luckily, immediately and said he is absolutely not exonerated and he still is under investigation and will be until the case is closed. There's a lot of layers to this. So that brought up the huge conversation in my office today. And it comes down to, at the end of the day, you pushed the trigger and you killed her. Now, there's a great term that I keep throwing out there. I'm not looking for murder for him. Mm-hmm. I'm really not. I don't want him to spend the rest of his life in jail. Sure. I don't want to disrupt his family life and everything else. What I want from him is a manslaughter charge and an investigation into his part and what the communication was around the time that happened. Because obviously I look at a lot of different things when it comes to this, because I'm very hyper focused on this dude. At the end of the day, I don't like this guy. And I think we all know that, but I'm going to follow his case pretty darn well. And we got a lot of people to listen to about exactly what we have going on. I'm not going to sit around here and let a Hollywood person get off on manslaughter, where what if it was I'm just going to throw a hypothetical thing out, because that was what we were talking about, hypotheticals. What if this was a suburban dad in McHenry County that had certain values, and he got a call that he's been waiting for his whole life to go join a movie, and the movie was about guns, and he's sitting there and he gets handed a firearm, whatever that situation looks like, whether they say it's cleared or not, and he shoots the person that's next to the camera and also hits the cameraman at the same time. Is his life the same way or not? Right? So then it brought up other questions for me. Number one, if he does get exonerated and does not get any charges, and we do not go through the process of our justice system that I so value in my own life, because without justice system we have lawlessness, and lawlessness, we're back in the Western era, right. Which probably would be cool at this point, but I don't really want to worry about being
shot in the
killed back, or exactly. So what if so I gave an example today. If I were to give my firearm to an employee and I told the employee, hey, yep, that's not loaded. And what I meant was it wasn't loaded, the safety was on, and that person decided to walk up to another employee and point that gun in the face and push the trigger. Well, the safety wasn't on. It was actually off, or it was off versus on. and kills an employee. Do I then get the Alec Baldwin treatment where I don't get anything and say, well, I can just pass the buck on to the next person or the armory or anything else? What defines a movie set? I feel like I'm on a movie set. I identify that my world is a movie set. So you want to play down this path? It's a lot of questions.
All the world's a stage. Yeah.
All the world's a stage. That's like I use in court. I guarantee I'm getting arrested within 10 minutes of whatever. And I'm sure there's multiple people that are involved in this, but the person that shot the person in the face is probably going to jail under some kind of charges.
Well, and it's okay. And we release you on bond or whatever.
Yep.
But they're like, don't leave town.
Yeah, of course. You're on bond.
You're on bond.
Yeah.
Right. So
you're getting a manslaughter charge.
The frustrating thing is the world was more up in arms with Will Smith slapping Chris Rock in the face than they were of Alec Baldwin killing somebody.
How?
You understand that?
Uproared.
You understand? How is that?
Yeah, and then there's a couple little weird things that came out in the media that they didn't talk about during that whole uprising too. There's conspiracy theories on everything, guys. And at the end of the day, what I found out about Hannah, because Hannah was the armory, in charge of the armory at that time. I just found out a couple days ago that she's actually suing the weapons provider for mislabeling the boxes. This can't get any deeper, guys. I can't make this shit up, honestly. What? It's mislabeled. You are supposed to identify and open those boxes and sign off that they are legit blanks in there. Now, mind you, as we know, they were playing with this revolver without any, with supervision, with live bullets and shooting it, and they're all taking turns shooting it from what was said. Yeah. So if we do have live bullets on set, that's first off the biggest no-no ever, and everybody in the movie industry has already said many things about this stuff. I'm not looking for just Alec here, right? So I'm not picking on Alec to just say that no one else is responsible. There's a lot of people responsible. She's responsible. Hannah, 100%. If you are in charge of the armory, you are just as responsible as pulling that trigger, in my opinion. Again, there is a great term. It's called manslaughter. It's where somebody dies that you don't intentionally kill somebody. That's the definition of manslaughter. Murder is illegitimate, preconceived notion to kill somebody. I went home. Your intent was to kill somebody. So I went home, I picked up a firearm, I loaded that firearm, I drove to the person's house, and then I shot you because of X, Y, and Z. That's murder. Hey, accident, my bad. Should have checked a whole bunch of other different things. Swiss cheese model that we had a really big conversation about failed. That's it. There's no other way around this for me when it comes down to it. So now she's suing the weapons provider, which then just elongates the process that we're not focusing on Alec again. The dude did it. There's no question about it. He's talking about pity and stress, and he doesn't want to be in the public eye anymore. I just can't figure out, dude, you're a movie star. And honestly, at this point, you're a freaking terrible person in morally for straight up every part of what I can think of with it. And then we just sit here and think it's okay to bash other people and say, well, I wasn't responsible. No, absolutely not. I watched his video of his two producers. And this is what, I mean, everything irks me about him now. So passionately pissed off at this guy. If I met him in person, I'd more than happy tell them to his face, as we're telling the world right now. I watched the video.
Thanks for listening, Alec.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Piss off. And rotten hell in a cell. I watched him sit in, and the initial phone call where the producers sat down with him and told him that, hey, she didn't make it. And his face, best acting you've ever done, Alex. Best acting you ever done. Oh my God. I'm holding my hands over my face, by the way, for those of you who can't see me. And he was just kind of in this fake shock. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, I can't believe it. And it was like a checklist that he was going down. Like, okay, I need to get with my PR department. I need to have a statement ready, and I got to go through. This girl just died by your hands.
Yeah.
You got to sleep every night with that.
Wouldn't you? I mean, you are a good person from what I've gathered over the couple years we've known each other.
Thanks.
If that was you, or if it was me, or if it was just a decent person,
sure,
you would be like, okay, man, I'm here. I'm sitting here. I'm not going anywhere until we figure this out.
Yep.
And I want this to go to court as quickly as possible to clear my good name.
Of course.
I don't want this to drag out. I don't. Right. So now what I get frustrated with as we're trying to focus our sights here is that this whole thing is a game now. All I have to do in the court of law is create reasonable doubt.
Yep.
So our good friend, the Armory, what's her name, Stephanie? Hannah is now bringing up this to clear her. Now, wait, why would I be doing that if I was liable? Right? I wouldn't be bringing up this lawsuit if I was liable for this. To which now a good attorney is going to grab her. Well, hey, did you check? Oh, yeah, it wasn't my fault. So they're hoping to create reasonable doubt when they call her to the stand now, right?
Pass the buck, dude.
Pass
the buck. Yeah. No, it's not my fault. It's his fault. And then the gun manufacturer is going to, not the gun manufacturer, the gun supplier is going to go and say, oh, by the way, it was the firearm. That's right. The firearm ordered the wrong bullets. Yeah. Like, and this is, I don't mean to laugh about it because it's really not a laughing matter, but at the same time, this has already happened before.
Right.
Because they decided that we just talked about it, I think, a couple of months ago, when it comes down to that, they sued the manufacturer for a mass shooting and won. Well, they didn't really win, by the way. And that was, again, the media twisting a site out of focus rather than in focus. Right. So that's our common theme with you twist the dials, the X and Y axes, and you get it out of focus a little bit so that you have to kind of twist it back to get back into focus. So the weird thing with the pandemic and everything, and I'm going to call this post-pandemic era right now because we're kind of getting out of the situation here.
Yeah.
And thank God. But 2021, the gun sales, let's see here. So 2021, there was actually in August, 1 year over sale of firearms was down 25% compared to previous year.
Yeah.
And it's like they say, oh, the gun sales are going to be dropping. The gun sales haven't dropped. Gun stores are busier than they've ever been. Ammo is being purchased at a record rate. I still can't get primer. It's 2 years later. They can't keep up with the ammunition stuff. Prices have finally dropped, which is thankful for me because I just love to go to the range. They have restricted supply to decrease sales is the end of the day of what they're trying to do. At the end of the day, there's a will, there's a way. And we have a lot of states that have very different gun laws in different states. Some are allowable to do different things. So first thing we said this morning or today is when there's a will, there's a way. Okay. Our country was found to be free, not to be restricted. And I will not let the media unfocus your attention on the fact that they are trying to remove your right to own a firearm on purpose, because then you can't defend yourself. And then you end up like Australia, where they quarantine you by force when it's not anywhere to be talked about because they've shut your internet down. So your voice is being unheard. And shout out to my man, Elon Musk, Tesla lover here, obviously, for buying Twitter. And thank you so much, sir. I can't wait to be way more active on Twitter. And you can follow me very shortly. Actually, at probably the end of this weekend, I will have the Bear Facts on Gun Twitter, which I will post articles all the time on.
So here's the interesting thing. What I hear a lot, especially from gun owners, and is my hey, my it's my right. It's my constitutional right.
Yep.
And everything that I hear from anti-gunners or non-gun owners, a lot of them are, oh, yeah, you can have it to defend you, but you don't need to carry that around. It's dangerous.
You don't need to carry the magazine capacity.
And
you don't need a semi-automatic. You don't need a pistol. There's 100%.
And so here, let me just read something really quick. Okay, that too many people have the X and Y axis have been twisted so far,
yeah, buddy,
that people don't know this and may not know what I'm quoting. Okay, but this is probably the best thing ever written. Okay, I'm just going to read it.
Okay.
We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
Man, God bless America.
So we get caught up sometimes on which amendment, which that, which this, and we forget why it was written. Okay. And it's written to form a more perfect union.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I will get my anti-constitution people. Oh, that's why it needs to be rewritten. No. We just haven't gotten to that more perfect union yet. Right?
I think I agree 100%.
Right. So no matter, and we've got some amendments to, the Constitution and, and some amendments to amendments and things of that nature. And that's okay. But we've lost sight. The X and Y axis, to your point, have been twisted so far out that we have forgotten why this country was established and for what reason, and why that Constitution and our rights, they're not necessarily God-given rights.
Sure.
These are just rights of Americans. Okay. Our way, the way they are for the way they are. So it's a brilliant thing. So Lucy, my 7th grader, is learning all this stuff. And I said,
beautiful. Shout out to Lucy. She's an awesome person.
And I said, hey, Luce, did your social studies teacher tell you that this is absolutely one of the best things, if not the best thing ever written by man? No, Dad, why? So I've got to talk with her about that, right?
Yep.
But it brought up that the preamble is what I just read. Tranquility, provide for common defense.
Yep.
I mean, what if we all had to we'll take a look at Ukraine. It's a very ugly situation, but now we all have to defend for ourselves.
Unite.
We have to unite.
They have to unite.
Right.
And they are completely unorganized, overpowered, and unarmed.
That's correct.
To do that.
Correct.
Unfortunately. It's so hard for me to sit back and look at some of the comments. And I just have a quick question for you, because you're obviously a little older than me, a couple days older than me. Your hair is gone. I don't know where it went, but I have mine.
It went to my ears.
Why does that happen? Why
Old
does it
guys
grow more in the ears? It's weird. Was there this much talk? I feel we're very divided on many planes of our country right now. And I know that our social media and our ability to communicate and have freedom of speech, which is extremely important to me, obviously with the show, and obviously with 2 and 6 and that. So what was there this much back and forth with previous administrations before a time where I could pay attention to it? So I guess what I would say is, my question to you would be, did your parents talk about politics like it is being talked about now? Did your parents talk about the division of what our country is at that time, and we just didn't know about it? Or was it?
So the push and pull has always been there.
Sure.
Everybody didn't have a loudspeaker though. Right. So, let's go with our good friend Elon Musk, who we know about Twitter, and he's going to save free speech if you use Twitter.
Okay, correct. Oh,
I don't use Twitter.
He's a businessman,
right?
So let's just be real with that.
Correct.
So
correct.
I mean, yes.
So I sit here and the most frustrating thing to me is social media. I love it because
Correct.
I'm on it.
Yep.
Thank you for tuning in to 2169 on Facebook and Metaverse on
Any way
YouTube,
you want.
wherever we're at, right?
Yep.
But the frustrating thing is people live. Okay, so news was on at 6 and 10.
Yep.
5, 6, and 10, right? Well, Walter Cronkite, the evening news, and then your local news, and then 10 your local news again.
Did you watch any of that?
Did
personally?
I? Do I?
Did you or do?
Yeah.
Oh
my God. Yeah.
You did?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. You
All
tuned in every night. That's where you got the news,
Okay.
right?
Cool.
Or it was in the local newspaper.
Yep.
Right, for the local stuff.
Sure.
Okay. But everybody wasn't glued to it 24 hours a day. And there wasn't tickers everywhere. People's phones blow up.
Yep.
Oh, the Ukraine.
So true.
The school shooting.
Yep.
So
So true.
And now everybody is so dialed into the wrong. They've allowed society to adjust their sights rather than them being able to dial it in themselves and critically think and go, huh, that's weird. I wasn't even pointed at the target. Why did they have me standing that way?
Yep.
And well, that must be where I'm supposed to shoot. No. That's not right. If you understand what I'm saying. So I think it was always there. Yes, you would hear people talk, but it was, it wasn't 24/7. So, at coffee at church or whatever, you hear some people talk about the politics,
Sure.
but then it wasn't every day, all day, 24 hours a day.
And maybe I'm just naive to my life and my upbringing, but I didn't do that. As a teenager growing up, as a kid growing up, I was outside playing with my friends, riding my bike, playing in the creeks and picking up crawfish and fishing with my grandfather. I spent a lot of time outside. Our television, we didn't have cable. We had 5 channels, probably. Yeah. And as we got older, that stuff kind of came out to play. And I just played video games and all the, PlayStation 2 games and stuff. There was no online access at that point because it was AOL and it was dial up. Oh yeah, that's my favorite noise in the world. I could listen to that all the time. And then my buddy got DSL because his dad worked for the phone company and he got DSL and it was like 40 megs a second or something. Right. And it was stupid fast at the time. Right. And, he was like, oh, so I go over to his house and hang out and do that.
Watch how fast this is. I'm going to go up and make a sandwich. I'll be right back. It was so fast.
Exactly. I just downloaded a song. By the time I made dinner, it's so good. One song is good. I could do so much. If I just sit at this computer for 19 hours straight, I'll have 19 songs.
Right. So true.
So, even AOL, when we sit on AOL, I was talking to girls, you know what I mean? Hey, what are you doing? Okay, what do you do this weekend? And my goal is to date you, and I just needed to figure out a way to make it so you'd say yes to me.
Right.
That's all I cared about. My parents, I would say, more on the right side of things, more open to, freedoms and liberties and all that kind of stuff. It's crazy to me because I still remember the day Facebook got introduced to me. I remember where I was in my life, and it was after high school, and it was a college thing only at the time.
Yep.
And I remember that I wasn't in college, so I couldn't do college. I couldn't do Facebook. And I was like, okay, so I'll just screw it. I'll just keep going, and it's probably just a fad of something or whatever. And now look where it is today. And I'm not just talking about Facebook, but you're right. There's a lot of microphones out there, and people love conflict. The first thing I think of, and I laugh because this is one of my favorite movies, Ron Burgundy.
Oh, yeah.
The 24-hour news broadcasting station. And he jumps on, and it's so true. So you want to see an adjustment of focus off of this. And in Ron Burgundy, it's Anchorman 2, for those of you that want to watch it, one of the funniest freaking movies in the world. And I'm talking about the scene where he made this, I'll quit television completely if I don't have better ratings from you at the peak hours. Ron, we're running from midnight to 4 a.m. It's the worst broadcasting time. Nope, we'll be fine. And he follows. There's a police chase on. Oh, let me put that on the screen. oh, this, and he starts making up everything about
Right.
about the back end of
Yeah.
the story,
Right.
that he punched a small child, he's murdered somebody, and at the end of the day, the guy gets pulled over, gets ripped out of the car, and his license is suspended. And there's no priors.
Right.
The guy is not a terrible person. He just made a bad decision and was on a police chase. And his ratings were the highest out of any through the roof. That's happening right now, folks. Ron Burgundy is alive and well. He might not be our favorite Will Ferrell, because I love the guy, but he is in your face all the time. Perfect example. Do you remember a couple weeks ago, New York City subway, mass shooting in New York City?
Yeah, terrible. Gas or smoke bombs, the whole works. Yeah.
Yep. So, do you know that the media spun it as a automatic firearm, a gas canisters, probably tear gas.
Yes.
There was ghost guns being, oh, we think it's a ghost gun.
Yes.
And
the gas mask on. He went in there with automatics.
Automatic firearms. He had a ghost gun, so it's not going to be trackable. How do you know this information? This dude's not even arrested yet. By the way, he was sitting in McDonald's across the freaking street, and they walked in and said, "Hey, are you the guy that just shot it?" Because, yeah, I'm the guy who's waiting for you guys to come out.
Enjoying a McRib and Shamrock Shake.
So, like, by the way, Glock firearm purchased legally. It did have an extended magazine on it. That's it. Semi-automatic, no modifications, completely serial number with everything.
Yep.
What the F? Like, you literally just put everything through. So then you bring up the ghost gun conversation, which then stirs the media up for ghost guns and why they're important, and Biden needs to ban them and blah, blah, blah. So then Biden acts on that and bans ghost guns. Because, by the way, that just happened. And here's the best part. Oh, man, you guys are going to love this. You want to know how messed up things are? And this is a fact, by the way. So you can quote me on this. You can sue me over it. I don't care. Biden banned the sale of ghost guns by gun dealers. Let's digest that for a second, okay? So if you were a gun dealer and you can sell firearms, Biden has just banned the purchase of a ghost gun.
Which by definition is
a gun that's manufactured with no serial number on it at all, is all that the requirements are. Here's the best part about it. That shit's been illegal.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you're buying a gun that doesn't have a serial number from a gun store, and you can correct me if I'm wrong out there, if there's a state out there that does allow ghost guns, I did a lot of research on it. I did not find a single state that allows a registered firearm sales dealer to sell a gun that does not have a serial number attached to it.
He also banned the sale of automobiles without a VIN number at local auto dealers.
So that doesn't get rid of your ghost gun problem, buddy.
What?
Because 3D printed guns happen all the time, and they're being made. And by the way, they're not illegal.
Right. But and again, let's talk about these sites again.
Oh,
it blew up. It blew up.
Yeah.
And now it's gone.
It's literally days. And that's what I want to talk about, Phil. So you guys, you want to talk about Phil's show tomorrow because you have the details.
Yeah. So of course, Fridays are an exciting day for us.
Yes.
Join us at 6 a.m. for the Power Hour playlist, 7:30 for the grounds, and then 9 is Bridging Civil Tension. Bridging Civil Tension is where we cover what's causing a lot of civil tension out there, and a lot of it is race. So we're good there. And then at 1 o'clock is the Neighborhood Pulse, followed up quickly at 3 by In the Know with Steph and Joe, and we round out the day at 8 p.m. with the Dream Home Experts.
Yeah,
so in a couple weeks we're going to be adding Living Low Sodium at 11 a.m. With Mary Shep, so it's going to be cool to get her in.
Oh, Mary, and she's with wonderful Restoration One now.
That's
so congratulations with that too, and Fantasy Factory, obviously, good buddy my Scott Giles with that as well.
That's right.
At the end of the day, guys, they have adjusted focus on something that's already there. They literally adjusted it and it's gone.
Oh,
It's so stupid. I read the article and then I read the news reports and then I read it. It's like the media doesn't even read what they write on paper or what they're saying in the news.
No.
They literally just banned ghost guns across dealers. Okay, the kid or whoever sitting at home building them on their 3D printer is still illegal. You didn't do anything. And if you're really trying to hide a gun from the government, that's still legal. So you're not really freaking hiding it.
Right.
You just misconstrued everything again to create a news article.
Magicians call it the sleight of hand, right?
Oh, it's such a sleight of hand. Adjusting of the focus.
Adjusting of the focus.
The question I have, Phil, for Phil tomorrow. Do you know what color this individual was?
Yes, the gentleman that shot. Yes, he was African American.
Great. Gone. Same question, white dude. What do you think would happen? By the way, that white dude is in a different state with a different type of firearm and not being aggressive, trying to help people. Interesting. Oh, he gets arrested, defamated across the planet, gets his gun destroyed, and by the way, got off with nothing because he was innocent. Throwing it out there. Now, this guy is 100% guilty and should be spending the rest of his jail. And I'm not talking about black versus white when it comes to wrong versus right or innocent versus that. At the end of the day, it didn't fit the media's. And that's what I want to make very clear here, folks. I'm not trying to make it a black or white thing right now about that. What I'm trying to say is the media is skewing your vision. This guy was black. It didn't meet the profile of the white guy that was disgruntled and building guns in his basement with ghost guns to then blow off an entire subway station and create this extravagant thing. It was buried. They didn't do any follow-up. They didn't even release the name in the media report of who the individual was. All they released was a black individual and his age, and that's it. So they swept it under the carpet. 2021, as of September, so January 1st to September 15th, there was 498 mass shootings. Wow. We all remember what mass shootings defined as? Because it's not what you think it is. Three or more. 498 mass shootings. That number sounds really bad, by the way. So that means it was 1.92 mass shootings per day in America. That's a great news broadcast right there. They didn't say that half of that shit was gang violence, black on black fighting at all. But it's still defined as mass shooting because it's 3 people or more. Des Plaines had a child shot today. Yesterday. Sad news out there. 14-year-old kid, trailer park, SUV rolls up, shoots. There was 2 14-year-olds. They're coming home. Shoots up both of them, drive-by shooting. Don't know who it is. Guy's still on the loose. No news coverage. One article. No. We found one article on it today. 14-year-old kid died. And because he's probably living in a trailer with his parents, I'm sure his parents don't make a lot of money, and they have this media-filled, extravagant lifestyle of being rich and famous. He gets swept under the rug. So shout out to you, dude. Silence for you. Sorry, man. That sucks. I hope justice happens. I love what you said about what they're teaching in schools, because that's where it all starts.
Yep.
It's being groomed in schools. The focus is being misled. And it kind of brings me back to my point about my upbringing, is that my family really didn't have conversations like that. I mean, obviously my grandfather taught me everything about guns and safety, and we fished and hunt and did all that kind of stuff. And, you kind of indirectly deal with that kind of stuff as well. But at the same time, it's not like my parents walked up to me and said, hey, you're a Republican, you're a white middle-aged guy or a white middle-class guy, and you have to act this way. They taught me core values of who I am as a person, and they made me do my own choices in life.
If I can adjust your XY axis and keep you in fear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
People tend to listen more and
Ron
follow
Burgundy.
follow directions a little bit more
Yep.
when we're scared. Right. So here's what I mean. You're in a bank, couple dudes roll in, everybody get on the floor, and they pop a couple caps up into the ceiling, pop, pop.
Yep.
Everybody goes, whoop.
My butt puckered a little.
Yeah.
No,
Right.
You're hitting the ground.
You're hitting the ground.
Yep.
Right. Hey, put your hands out, put your hands out the window. Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Sure.
When you're frightened, you tend to listen and do things a little bit more. So if we're able to live in a state of constant fear, perhaps we will march in line a little bit better.
And we have wonderful platforms that have algorithms to literally make that happen more and more all the time. So I know there's a good movie that came out. I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but it talked about the marketing schemes of how capitalism works in our country directly. And what you just said earlier, your phone's going off, notification. Well, that notification, the design of a notification on your cell phone is designed to make you pick up a device. Once you pick up that device, you then swipe up to unlock your phone to read the notification. Now, that notification might be that you left the light on in the living room. Now, that light that's on has made you click an app that is recording the fact that it is. Well, hey, you're active on your phone. I'm going to throw another notification at you. By the way, this is Facebook notification or an Instagram notification. Hey, deadly shooting in America. Most deadly shooting ever. Oh, I kind of want to click on that, figure out what's going on. Click on that thing. Now there's marketing involved and selling and everything else. What you need to realize, folks, we're here to sell you. America's here to sell you. We are a capitalist country. What you don't realize is all these devices are designed, all this fear is designed to make you purchase things. And by the way, guns are one of them.
Yeah.
We put fear in your eyes and we thought you're going to handle it this way. Well, we went out and handled it by buying a whole bunch more gun, 22 million to be exact. It's insane.
Hey, Leaf, thanks for tuning in. Leaf says, ironically, I'm lubing a shotgun I picked up yesterday.
Thank you.
But I figured I'd tune in. I grew up in a fully Republican environment, but I ended up being just about as left as one can be.
Okay. So it's surprising. Thank you so much for joining in. It's surprising to hear that you are left as you are holding a shotgun.
I don't know. I know quite a few people who would even call themselves progressive who own firearms.
So progressive versus liberal is kind of two different things in my world. So if you're left, what makes you left? I guess what would define you as your left on there?
Yeah. So the progressives, I would say, are the Bernie Sanders type people.
Sure.
Okay, and that's what I'm talking about. Is people who love Bernie. And every time I hear that, I just think of Weekend at Bernie's. But they also own firearms, whether it's a shotgun or whatever. And I go, well, that's interesting. I always find it interesting, but it is, I mean, it's a choice, right? It's their right to have it. And it's a choice. So yeah, it's interesting. And that's what I'd say is, as he says, I'm about as left as one can be. In your world, what is that?
Yeah. Just so we can know, because I'd love to have a conversation about what that means and your thoughts and views on a lot of different things, obviously, because we don't get too many lefts on our show because it's a gun show. And then most far left individuals, and I have to say it that way because I don't want to upset anybody.
Yeah.
But at the same time, what makes you that far left versus far right? And at the same time, I put myself in the middle. I try not to. I listen and I'm open, right?
Right.
So I consider myself progressive. I think we can evolve. We can have technology. I think that we can respect other people's individualism in what they want to be.
Yeah.
Now, when we take that a step further is when I start questioning, okay, well, we're starting to step on our civil liberties in our country that defines me as freedom. And I start having to tiptoe around the conversations of what gender to call you at this point. I'm confused, right? So I don't want to offend you because I'm a nice person. At the same time, I can't sit here and figure out what you are and do research on who you are. I don't have time to like figure out your life story. Just tell me what you want to be called, and I'll call you that. That's it.
Exactly.
So go.
Leaf says, I don't believe liberals are true leftists.
Ooh,
I'm way beyond those folks. They don't accomplish anything and are just fine with the status quo economically. They put on a progressive face culturally. Interesting.
Very interesting. And I get,
and thanks. It's good stuff, Leaf.
no, it's amazing. And again, I appreciate that you're on the show already, because again, we don't get that many lefts on the show to have these conversations. And I'm not going to beat you up about my views and stuff like that. I just want to know what it is. Personally, I use him. He sounds good.
Him.
Thanks. Appreciate that. So thank you for identifying, so I can properly address you in the right see, I'm terrible at this. I try to make it right. I don't know what to say about how to pronounce it right. Pronoun.
Using
Thank
the
you.
right pronoun.
Thank you. I knew it was in there somewhere. So can you define a liberal versus a left? Is my first question to you. If you got time to type it in. And Leaf, if you do join the show next Thursday, I'd love to get a phone call on with you. 2 weeks. Sorry.
Every other week.
Thank you. In 2 weeks, I'd love to get a phone call with you. You can message me at Derek at the bearfactsonguns.com. You can jump on our Facebook page, or you can just email 216 on the broadcasting you are, and just send Kent an email or a text message or whatever, and we can get you on the show, because I'd love to have a great conversation with you. So that would be my first conversation on there as well, to jump into.
What kind of rifle is I'm wondering?
What's that?
I'm wondering what kind of rifle. Shotgun. His shotgun he got.
Oh yeah. It's nice that he's actually taking care of it as he's lubing it up, which is fantastic on there as well. So I don't know how. My question: how do we refocus this? And what's the right refocus, by the way? How much distance are we looking at here? How much focus do I need to change? How much angle do we need to go with?
Well, again, I'll roll back to as we adjust our sights to refocus. Is we have to understand that we may all be in the same gun range. We're not all shooting at the same target.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is a good way to put it, right?
There's so many layers to that.
So,
it's a great job.
So as we refocus, I think where we have allowed our X and Y axis to be disturbed is we started taking everything at face value instead of going, wait a minute, let me think through this. You're telling me that purple is now green and it's always been green? You know what I mean?
Yep.
Let me think through this again, right? So I think we innately lost the ability to critically think and to critically listen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because Leaf can start talking about this, and because he's a leftist, there's a lot of people out there who will go, I'm not even listening to what you say. I'm just ready to fight.
Yep.
You know,
I get on here to cause an issue.
Yeah.
Awesome. What do you got to say?
Yeah. So Leaf says, absolutely. I've got all afternoon, and I'm absolutely open to questions. I just picked up Mossberg Silver Reserve 2 over under. It's for trap or skeet. I'm hoping to join the Johnsburg Sportsman's Club.
Dude, you're local too. Fantastic.
Yep.
We'll just get you on the show personally. That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
We can get you on the show. Again, just message Kent and go through there. I love skeet shooting, and I just bought my shotgun that Kent shot to do skeet shooting with. Yeah, so that's what that was a purpose of that firearm, pump action pistol grip shotgun, to use it for skeet. And I actually bought a reloader, and I can't get primer, and I have all these shotgun shells are ready to go, and I can't do anything with them. So but I didn't know that Johnsburg had a sportsman club, so I'll have to look into that and see. Awesome. It seems cool. Yeah. Shout out to Johnsburg Sportsman Club. We look at distractions all the time, right? And the key to distractions is doing your research. I don't read the news at all unless it's for the show. I try to stay abreast to it, but I literally look at, like you said, face value and say, this seems stupid. It's making me want to click more. I don't want to click it because it's making me want to. So my psychological side of me says, no, stop. You don't need to click this because it's probably crap.
Garbage.
And it always is.
Yeah.
So I just stopped doing it. So I just stopped listening and stopped believing everything, which then is a whole nother problem on there as well. So to the folks out there, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back in 2 weeks, Thursday, 6 p.m. Do not lose focus. Adjust the sights.
That's it. Bravos here, 21.6 The Net. Thanks for getting caught in the net. This has been the Bear Facts on Guns. Come back on the 19th. Same Bear time, same Bear channel.